And good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you all, and welcome to Seen and Heard live show.
Hello, hello. I hope you'll be
Hello,
commenting in
hello.
the chat today because
We
it's just
already
the
have
two of us.
comments. Oh,
No, I'm just
uh,
inviting people.
yeah, please do comment because we need some feedback from you to see if this, what we are talking about, even makes any sense. And today we
Yes.
are talking about,
Preparing for podcasting, or rather, not preparing for podcasting.
yeah, but
Both,
specifically preparing as a guest for podcasting. So not as a host, but as a guest.
yes, because we don't prepare anyway. So,
I'm not going to comment on that, but better not.
shall we start with the technical aspect? Since we started today with some buzzing in your studio, I think that's a good introduction into that part. You get a lot of questions about it. So, how do we prepare technically to be guests on podcasts?
Well, yeah, there was some buzzing. It seems that my microphone cable has gone a bit too old and it's not working properly anymore. So I need to put it more on a wireless microphone. But anyway, how to prepare technically? As most of us already have some kind of a Zoom video call setup. This is basically the way you prepare also for being a guest as a podcast guest. Uh, just be sure that your internet connection is okay so that everything works correctly and all of your components, be it at least microphone and the headphones which are really important here because if you are talking without headphones there could be some hiccups in sound transmission. So it's better to do it with headphones, even if there is an option for echo cancellation and everything like this. It's better to use headphones. And if the podcast is a video podcast, then the camera should also be prepared and working too. And as we all know, the world is going more and more towards the video podcast, not that many to the audio podcast. And even if you are a guest on an audio podcast, it's not uncommon to be on a video with your podcast guest, at least for some announcements and some perhaps quick bites on for social media. So your camera needs to be on, even if it's audio podcast.
Do we need
That's basically, in a nutshell, something very quick.
do we also need plan B for all of those, or is one of each enough?
Do we need beef? We need beef to eat.
Plan B.
Yes.
Do we need two
Oh, Plan
cameras,
B.
two
Okay. My mind is somewhere else. Okay.
Of course, always
Do
around
we need a
food.
plan B? Okay, plan B is actually very important for internet because usually something doesn't work well. So at least to have a prepared tethering for mobile phone to work also as a backup internet line and perhaps even microphone and camera. So to have a secondary backup option for internet, microphone, and camera. And mobile phone is great in this regard as most of the podcast recording apps also do feature mobile versions, so you don't need to be on the desktop or laptop.
Right, your phone can do a lot of things these days, so it's something to discover if you
Everything.
don't use it normally. Yeah, because it can really save you in certain situations.
Exactly.
What about the
Uh,
quality of these things? Because I know a lot of people ask, oh, is my camera good? Is my microphone good? Is this good enough? Do I need to invest more before I ever decide to turn up in front of people?
well, I would say if you're a first time guest, then you should just do it with whatever you have. So it doesn't really matter that it's need to be top-notch quality. If you plan to be a professional podcast guest, then yes, you should probably think of something more in the quality sense better. But here and there, like I said, it's like preparation for a Zoom or any other video call. So editing can do a lot out of what is existent regarding the sound and perhaps sometimes even video. But most of it should be relying on what you have to say and not that much on your technical stuff that you have around you. So you shouldn't invest that much for at least for a first time or first couple of times, unless you see it's really important for you.
I would agree. I think people who have been watching us from the start can see the evolution of equipment in our case, because my camera was an integrated laptop camera that would change colors suddenly.
But
But
it's not bad. What? It's
people still
important
say it.
that you're seen and heard. This is what is important. If
Exactly.
you change a bit color to the Shrek green, sometimes, well, it doesn't really matter.
It adds to the charm of it, for sure.
Yes.
All right. Um, there is one part of the technical preparation that is actually not about equipment, but about marketing, inviting people, getting people to actually see you if you have a live appearance like ours. And I think it might be worth saying a few words about this as well, because sometimes we have guests who say yes, but then they don't tell anyone that they will be live with us because they think, okay, if I stay quiet, maybe nobody will ever see this. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
be safe.
Most people see it as a test. Okay, let's see how this works, and it better no one see it. And if it's going to be okay, then there is always a recording. So I'll send them a recording. So how do you see in this regarding our guests? Should they announce it to their friends and colleagues, even if they're not that sure it's going to be okay?
I think so, yes. And I think this is something worth repeating for our guests, because if the worst things that they think of happen and they, forget what they wanted to say and suddenly they don't know anything about the topic that they're experts in, having people in the comments cheer you on and ask you questions is really, really useful. And it makes it
Like
for
we
a
have
much
today,
like we have
exactly.
today, because we announced to everyone, which is why I thought of it.
Yeah, we did announce it really properly this time. But one thing I must say is on a technical side, on if you announce it on social media, then it's really important to announce it directly in your own post and in your own words, and not just repost the original announcement, because most of the social media networks, they just ignore the reposts and shares. So no one will see it anyway if you just hit the repost or reshare button. So it's better to create an announcement in your own words and just attach the link to where this is going to be.
Exactly. Even if it's just one sentence, like "come and save me if I say something stupid," something like that might even attract people
Yeah, it might
to
attract
come
even
and
more
aid,
people.
for sure. Yeah. So, a tip to all of our future guests: please tell people that you're coming. So, maybe one out of the 20 that you invite might actually come and help you out a bit and make it a bit more dynamic. So, it's not just us asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah, and how do you feel when it's not really a live show, when it's a recorded podcast? Do you think it's better to announce it also?
I think it's good to get people interested before you put the whole thing online, because I think it's likelier that they will engage with it. But I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'm I'm asking you. I don't know. I'm usually having all these live shows, so I don't remember when I was a guest on a show that was recorded. Uh,
Okay. People, invite Darko. He hasn't been a guest in a while. He has to do all these lives.
yeah, only live shows.
All right. This is a good moment to ask people to come on as guests. We've prepared a little Google Sheet for you to pitch yourself to us so that we don't have to hunt around for guests anymore. So we are expecting at least 300 applications. Please go
Yes.
here, scan this
Please
QR code.
explain why we should have you as a guest. And this is another point: how to be a good guest on a podcast. How to pitch yourself the best way when you want to be on someone else's podcast.
I don't have a lot of experience here, but what I've been successful with is being honest, like being pretty straightforward. Because I think if I read something that sounds like a chat GPT entry with a lot of like juicy words about all the insights you're going to share, it's not going to make me very confident about your ability to say a few things live spontaneously. So something that sounds genuine, human, and where you can actually see that the person has a passion or something valuable to share. And there's a lot of things like that. I think that's important to say to people. We welcome all kinds of topics, whatever you are interested in. The weirder, the better, as far as we are concerned. We don't need to know anything about it.
But it needs to be about food, at least a
Fine.
bit.
If it's about food, you get extra points. That is true. we should we should reveal our biases. Also, if English is not your first language, if you're using it bravely, maybe even for the first time, like we get super excited about that. That's also something that gives you a bit of extra points in our book. And of course, most of our
It means
audience
you're extra brave.
means you're extra brave. Yes. And most of our audience are business owners, I would say. So something interesting to them would also give you an advantage. But it doesn't have to be true. It's just
Yeah,
an extra.
yeah. So this is just a test, but in case you are actually pitching yourself, I guess, trying to get some business, trying to get yourself out there, it would be a good idea to be in front of a audience that is really also your potential audience that wants to hear what you have to say. So this is also an important thing to think about, not just to go on any podcasts, but try to get in front of your potential audience.
Yes, this would be smart. Although I would suggest go to any podcast if you're afraid of it, because then it's practice. And the lower the stakes, like if you know that the people who will be watching are not the sort of people that you would care that much about, it might be the first step for some people if they're very anxious.
So exact opposite of what I said just a moment ago. Okay,
Well,
for the first time, okay,
for the first time, for practice. That's
and
my only point
and
there.
and don't
But don't
tell
expect
anyone
anything.
that you're even on a podcast, so nobody knows about it.
I would still tell people because it helps. But if you want to get anything out of it, you need to think about the final goal. And then, yeah, as you said, Darko, then it would be useful for people who are your clients or potential clients and collaborators to see it, because the point is for people to get to know you and want to work with you in any shape or form.
Yeah. Or colleagues, or yeah,
Yeah,
whoever they might be that you're interesting to show yourself in front of.
exactly.
From your experience, what would you say that are the best things that guest podcasters did in our show to come, and what were the worst things? No,
Oh,
no
okay.
names, just
No names.
some no names needed.
The best ones were excited about the questions that they got. I would say this is where we got some of the best moments, where instead of being afraid of the questions and like overthinking, oh, what should I say now? Oh, I hope nobody says anything. You could see that they are perhaps accustomed to this. Maybe they do webinars or whatever other podcasts, and they react to these questions excitedly and really want to share this extra information, not just what we kind of had in mind to discuss. So these were
Mhm.
some of the most interesting moments for me, because it has nothing to do with us. Maybe it's questions that we never would have thought of because it's somebody from a different industry, different country, whatever. So you get some nuggets of information that you perhaps wouldn't get from these people. And
Yeah, and what
worst,
were the worst?
the worst are the ones that don't come.
We didn't have these.
um,
They
when
do come.
people, when you tell people too many months in advance, this is my issue, and then they find a way to wiggle out of the coming to the show. That's the
Mm.
worst.
Yeah,
When
that
we get
might be
ghosted.
an issue. Yeah, ghosted, but not like on the day when the podcast needs to air or something like this. So
No, no, no. Just cancellations. You get
yeah,
excited and you get prepared, and then they say, you know what? I don't think I'm ready for this.
yeah.
That's
And
kind of the worst.
what would you say about changes in our podcast guest invitation process? In regarding this, we just stopped asking people in advance for a couple of months in advance, but just perhaps a couple of days.
Yeah, I think there should be a middle ground for this. This is my approach
Really?
in general. Yeah, I think maybe a couple of days before might make people a bit more nervous than usual, but maybe like a week
Hmm.
is ideal, or 10 days, something like that. So I think on your side, like where it's close enough to just create a bit of positive tension and make them, do it when they say yes. But on the other hand, still give them a bit of time to breathe and prepare. So it's not like they're not jittery.
No, I thought the closer the deadline, the better, because at least from a couple of our previous guests, we got, oh, thank God, if I didn't decide it on the spot, it might have been that I never came. So it was like, do you want to come to the podcast tomorrow or day after tomorrow? Okay. And if they would have gotten a week to decide, I'd say they would just wiggle out of it. Nah, it doesn't really fit this week. No, I don't want to. I'm afraid, and so just
Maybe
excuses.
maybe we should start announcing them immediately. Like after they say yes, 10 minutes later there's a post. Just so you know,
Yeah,
this person is coming then and then.
yeah.
Something to think about for sure.
I
Maybe
think
we
you
should
put
ask them.
this. I think you put this link too early because now nobody's even commenting. Uh, so we think nobody's even here and can't see a QR code and cannot apply to the being a guest.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
they're sleepy. It's that time of the summer. in our part of the world, at least, where nobody wants to do anything, it seems. But we have someone on YouTube, so hello, YouTube viewer. It's nice to have you.
Yes. And hello to all the other viewers, even if you do not appear here in the comments. But it would be nice to even have have someone say hello. But anyway, um, what would you say that once we do have a yes for being a guest, would be a good preparation, not from a technical side, but from the preparation for even announcing the guest? What would be a good part on them to be prepared for?
Well, for one, to have a good bio or about, at least on LinkedIn, because I tend to scrape information from LinkedIn, so they don't have to write something on the spot. Because it seems to me that a lot of people, if they're asked to think of bio for themselves, like for tomorrow for the show, they might go, "Oh, I don't know. Let me let me find
Uh,
something somewhere."
Let me find a copywriter to write it for me. Maybe
Yes,
next month.
exactly. So to have something like that prepared and already part of your social media, that helps us so that we can tell people who you are in a few words. And I think what's important for you, especially, is for them to have a photo that's representative of them, that's not 20 years old, an avatar, something that is photoshopped to this degree that nobody knows who this person is. So that would
Yeah,
be quite important.
especially if you're in some video podcasts or video live shows, it should be reflecting how you look at this moment, so people from the announcements know who will be the guest and not see, okay, this is someone else. Do they have some substitute today, or is it really the guest that was announced?
Exactly. And if we're talking about business owners who are normally our guests and they need to project who they are to find clients or to educate the audiences about whatever they're offering, then it's especially important to look like yourself.
Yeah, not only for them, but for everyone, but especially for a business part. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen people who work for certain companies and institutions that sent an image from, I don't know, 20 years ago to the HR and just left it like that on for the corporate website. So maybe in these situations, they don't care that much. But yeah, generally
I wonder
speaking,
how that job interview goes. Oh, you're much older than you looked on your profile picture or CV picture. Oh,
are you just very tired today?
yeah.
Could
Really
be.
rough the last couple of months, right?
Yeah. And what about the final bit of preparation? This is something where we've experimented a lot, and I don't think we found a middle ground yet. But I know that you are very much against preparing guests for the questions. So, what are your
Okay.
thoughts on this? What's the
Well,
reason for
well,
that?
yeah. What I've seen before, if you have all the questions in advance, then you basically start to sound like a robot. Actually, you people tend to learn it by heart, the answers, and okay, this question's come. Okay, then they expect the next question, and it's okay. This could work in textual interview, or it's actually like an interview. It's not a podcast then, and I'd say podcasts at least are meant to be really authentic dialogues and not interviews just to be yes, we have this topic, you need to answer this, and then now we get to the next one. Perhaps something is more interesting that day about one topic and you don't even touch on the second topic, but perhaps somewhere in next couple of months you do a second podcast with that person, and then you'll talk about it. So I don't see it as a problem. And this is what really seems too much robotic, at least
Hmm.
for how I see it. I don't know how you see it when people know all the interview questions in advance.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. It can be overly scripted and not dynamic enough if it's done like that. But then on the other hand, the other side of things, if we don't prepare at all, you get a lot of empty talk. Like the two of us sometimes can talk about nonsense that I don't think anyone wants to hear.
And that's why people come.
So you think that's where we need to be, not somewhere in the middle, but like complete winging.
No, we don't talk about nonsense. What nonsense did we talk about today? All the
Well,
interesting and educational things that someone
they
who
were
plans to be
just,
a guest
yeah,
needs to
smooth
know.
for sure. Samuel is here to say hi. Hi,
Hi,
Samuel. Please
Samuel.
don't
Hi.
apologize to us.
And he's really honest, and he says he's never prepares for our podcast. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
He
way to
just
go.
he just tunes in. I wonder if our viewers actually prepare for us in some ways. That sounds like something I haven't considered. Do you prepare yourself for viewing or listening to podcasts in some way?
Well, I'd say I do.
How?
For some specific shows, I do prepare myself because most podcasts I'm either listening to when I'm walking the dogs or either I'm driving somewhere, so in traffic. And for some podcasts that really I think need my attention and that I'm really interested in, to not to just let them fly by the info that goes in there. These I prepare to be somewhere where I can really listen to it, see what they talk about, and really be concentrated on it. And sometimes it even happens that I need to, once I hear the podcast in, let's say, somewhere in the traffic, that I just mark it to listen to it again more concentrated.
Yeah, actually, I do that as well, but I don't tend to listen to what I've marked because my attention goes somewhere else. So it's a
Oh,
missed opportunity sometimes, I have to say. Yeah, but similarly to you, I do approach different podcasts differently. And sometimes I will multitask, if that even is a thing. But sometimes I will take a walk and like really listen to what the people are saying.
yeah,
I wonder which category we're in.
I don't know. I'd say
Some,
we're in category of multitasking, and people are preparing their breakfast, eating their breakfast,
yes, we've
drinking
had this.
coffee,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
browsing through their morning emails and similar things today.
Probably, yeah. We've been told. So anyway, but maybe we have some
By
different
whom?
viewers. Last time, one person said that they were cooking something,
Oh, yeah. What
and
are they cooking?
you didn't get this
Hmm.
information. You missed it
No.
somehow. I don't know why or how, but you were also multitasking.
Yeah, yeah. This is also a thing that I do. I either walk, drive, or cook and listen to the podcast because yeah, you can multitask when cooking. Why not?
Yeah, cooking
You
is
might add
the
too much salt or something, but
that's true. As long as you don't step away too far from the food, I think you're fine.
yes.
That's the biggest mistake to make.
Okay. So should guests be prepared to get all the list of the questions then?
No, no, but I think they should get some bullet points and some idea of what the goal is of the episode.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Well, this is how I do it in my solo podcasts. When I talk to people, I do tend to give them three, maybe four topics, basically just bullet points, what we would talk about. And what surprises most people is when I ask them, is there something we should not talk about? Which is very important in a live show because you might touch something that the person doesn't want to talk about. And I'd say it's important to also think about it before this question so you can answer it and not the host to go there even unintentionally.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because that can really baffle people if they hear something that they are not prepared for, and they should know upfront if something's too sensitive or whatever.
Yes, like
What about
food
preparing as a
instance.
guest? Then you've been a guest on many live shows. How do you prepare as a guest? Do you think about it all day long? Do you repeat stuff in your head? Do you write anything down?
No, not
What do
really,
you do?
because when I am there as a guest, I'm basically talking about what I'm doing every day, like with photography, preparing for the video calls, and things like this, technical issues that might arise. So I don't think I need to prepare too much on it because I don't know, it would sound too robotic, like I said. But just see what topics we are going to talk about, and that's basically it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I see it similarly. One thing that I've noticed recently is that I think it's pretty good to have some examples in mind because if you do something, especially if you've been doing it for many years, then you might have a million examples in mind. So when somebody asks you for something specific, you have to scan for like a long time to think of one that's really illustrative. So I think when it comes to prep, it could be
Names,
useful to.
dates, and things like
Oh
this.
no, no. Just to think of like
No,
an
no, no.
example or two that can be representative of what you're saying because people sometimes don't understand very general things. They need something a bit more human or specific. Maybe that could be one thing. Especially I think if the topics are very academic or something like that. You know, I've seen that from our guests sometimes as well. Things are very familiar to them or to other people who have studied the same thing or are in the same field, but our guests might need something a bit more tangible to completely understand what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I'd say this is the point that we also need to mention, that the guests should prepare themselves also by at least watching a couple of previous episodes of that podcast or show to get accustomed to how the audience reacts, what level of technical language there is. Should they just be academic or more down to earth? So it's really good to at least get some idea how the show looks like and adjust to that show and not be completely different to that because they usually are that way. But if the audience doesn't like it,
Yeah, for sure. I
they're
think
going to be booed down.
that's a big question then. Who is the audience? It's something to ask the people that are inviting you or the people that you are pitching yourself to. Who will be listening? And then if you are in our show, invite the people that you want
Because
to hear
they are the
you.
only ones who will be listening. No, we
That's
will have
one thing.
audience.
But to get the right questions, if you're unprepared to get like something from the left field that has nothing to do with your industry or whatever, then it could be useful to actually then have these people watch and comment.
Exactly.
Unless, again, as I said, is your first time, so you want to go to a different continent and talk with someone who has nothing to do with you, just to test things out.
I don't know how that episode would even look like, but okay, why not?
Yeah, I think the main point there is to practice and try, because stakes are normally pretty low. And when it comes to our show, as you can see, it's Samuel and us, and Samuel is really kind and nice. So
Thank you,
you'll be
Samuel, for
fine.
being there.
Thank you. We appreciate you, especially when you have a comment that Darko can read that's about this big on the screen. That's
Yeah,
my
it
favorite
doesn't
thing.
need to be today.
Okay, whatever. Fine.
Yeah, but what additionally comes to my mind when guests are asked what they want to perhaps show or where they could be found by the audience, they just freeze as they didn't think about it, that people will even want to talk to them after it. So it's a good idea to prepare yourself with the links where you can be found, where you prefer to be found, either LinkedIn, mail, website, or perhaps it's something like a new course, new book that you want to announce. So all those links is good to be prepared before the show, so the host can actually go to that way and also put these links in the show notes on description.
Absolutely. And I think it's a good rule of thumb to have one or two max, because if you share five, six, seven links and people get confused, they don't know where to go. So whatever you prefer and whatever's more
And
natural
they
to
just
you,
skip it.
yeah, exactly. And think about yourself there. I think that's something that you mentioned, and it's very important. Don't think about what's best for the audience, but where you are, and you are actually, answer their questions there fairly quickly.
Yeah, and going to think of it, you should be prepared to announce yourself also, because if you're pitching yourself as a guest, the host might not know everything about you. They
That's
of
true.
course will do their part of the homework, but there's perhaps something that you want to emphasize and they don't know it.
Exactly. And I think, again, because we deal with business owners, mostly small business owners, there's a lot of changes that happen in the natural growth of a business. So somebody who presented themselves in one way last month might have a completely different project they want to talk about this month. So make sure that you are the person who knows their branding and what they want to emphasize.
Exactly. And I changed my title regarding this.
Okay, okay.
Now you're happy.
Yes.
I'm not confusing anymore.
Amazing. Okay, have we covered everything important, or there's anything else come to mind?
I'd say we did. Well, I would say what is uh, actually important not to have too many guest sightings around all different podcasts at the same time, because it tends to be confusing for the people. You're not there, like, in a couple of years nobody seen you on any podcast, and then all of a sudden you're on 10 different podcasts inside a week. So perhaps just to have it with host time to at least have a week between different guestings,
Guest
how
appearances.
guest appearance. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's a good point, right? If you suddenly see a person in seven different places, so you don't have time to watch them in all of these places, or it's like too much, and then you don't see them for a year. it's not as
Yeah,
successful as having it, every few months or so.
yeah. I would also say that people just put too much pressure on them when they are on multiple podcasts. Like, I need to say something completely
Hmm.
different. I need to have completely new ideas. It's okay to talk about the same things because most of the audience wouldn't didn't hear the first show or second or any other, and they encounter you first time there. So it's not really a problem.
Yeah, and if they have heard you, hearing you a second time might remind them, and they might even agree with you more because they've had time to process it. So whatever your message is, it might come across much more clearly and have a better impact. So I think repetition is actually quite positive if the audience is interested, and that's what you want. If they're not, then they're not your audience.
Yes, like we said before, choose your being a guest on a podcast that they have an audience that you want to have as an audience.
Yes, that would be ideal because then you're actually having a conversation. Otherwise, you're just talking to empty space. And the only usefulness that I can see in that, as I said, is just to practice for the very first time and see that nothing bad will happen.
It won't. Nothing bad will happen. Why do you even mention this? I've never
Because this
seen
is what,
anything bad happen being as a podcast guest.
yeah, because people are afraid of something. The big bad, they don't even know what it is, but I've heard all kinds of different things like, oh, I don't know, my camera, my light, my internet. What will I say? Who will listen? What if they ask something? What if I say something stupid? What if I forget a word? What if I go, and then everybody turns off their laptop because, oh my God, you can't do that because that's not how you act
Yeah,
in podcasts.
yeah. I'd say that people are too negative of themselves. And also, this comes to how should I prepare? Should I have? Should I go to makeup and have hair done before the podcast? I don't think that's important. You're not podcasting. Even video podcasts aren't TV, so there are no millions there waiting for you, unless you're on some of the bigger podcasts. But like, if Joe Rogan asks you to be a podcast guest, yeah, you can go to have makeup done then. Then it's okay.
He'll probably help you with that as well. So
Perhaps not personally, personally, but
there's some value in that production, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah, you can ignore everything we've just said if you are a potential guest for Joe Rogan. Please turn this off. You can leave.
If
This is
it's your
not
first time being a guest and your host is Joe Rogan, congratulations.
congratulations indeed. Yes. You should be slightly nervous then, probably. We are no Joe Rogan. Please come as guests. Make our lives easier so we can
Can
prepare
you make it a
less.
bit bigger? I'm not sure that is even scannable with this small QR code.
I would need to make a new one,
Oh, the
which
technique.
is, yeah.
So we didn't talk about a couple of technical things. What happens when you're on a podcast or live show? So most of the time you're in some kind of a browser environment, virtual studio, where the person, the host or administrator, invites you in, and it most basically looks like a video call. Be it the audio podcast or video podcasts, there are a couple of different platforms for either recording the podcasts, like Riverside or Squadcast or Rooms. So there are different platforms for that, but also for live shows like Here we have a restream, which is
Yeah.
here, or there's the one with the duck that is also popular. I'm not really sure. Something
StreamYard?
cost. StreamYard, yeah, StreamYard. So they most basically look the same, like video call interface, and this is how it looks like. You get a link, you connect, preferably a couple of minutes before, but you will get invited and told so. So if there are any technical issues before the podcast starts or the recording or live show starts, they can be handled. And even there is some back room when in some podcasts there is announcement by the podcast host, and then while you're still in this virtual studio, you get invited in to be on the live show, even if you are there already, but you're just shown to the live audience. So this is something that most people don't know how it looks like, and sometimes they're confused. Okay, how does it look like? How should this be done? And if someone is interested in it, I think we could also create a show to show this part of a podcast. Why not?
Yeah, make a virtual tour of some kind. Why not? That's actually a good idea. Because for a lot of people, this is their first time, at least in English. And this part is the unknown land that can create unnecessary anxiety because most of these platforms look very similar to any kind of conference call software you've used. It's not very different. What
Yeah,
is important,
but if it's the first time you're encountering when you're coming, so it's again additionally confusing, and you're afraid because it's something new.
for sure, for sure. And I think we haven't mentioned that it's normally advisable to shut other windows and tabs and other things happening in the background if you haven't while you're doing it, because these streams normally use up quite a lot of resources.
Yeah, network and also computer resources. So preferably
Yeah.
no downloading of videos in the next room by your family or your colleagues in the office and things like this, because it's going to pause for a moment, and you might even just get out of a live show because the network is too slow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What
Yeah,
is also important there is that your hosts should be handling the comments and such and the links and so forth, which is why we mentioned that you should have one on the ready if you want to be contacted at a certain platform and so forth. So it's not something to worry about too much. If you give us all this information beforehand, we are the ones who will be showing it on the screen and such. You just sit back, relax, and talk about whatever you're an expert on.
exactly. Okay, I don't think we have
One more thing.
explained most of it. One more. Oh, just one
One
more
more
thing.
thing. Yes. Choose a topic that you're really passionate about and that you really are an expert in. Because if it's something that you just started thinking about yesterday, you are making your life much, much harder. So I don't think has ever happened. People tend to be more self critical rather than have this kind of um, uninformed confidence, I would say, because yeah, if it is something that you are not passionate about and you don't have enough experience in, and it's not something that you've really um, lived with for a while, then it can be a difficult conversation.
Yes, of course.
But we've never had this happen to us. So while
No, we never have something like that happen to us. No.
While you're scanning this, think about it. Please don't pick a topic that you just found interesting yesterday, because when people ask you questions, you might go, "Oh, I have no idea," and that's
But
cool,
but that's
but not as an
also a good
answer to every
answer.
question. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Maybe not to
yeah,
every question. If you come to podcasts, you don't need to be encyclopedia or Wikipedia to
yeah.
know
Of course.
everything. So it's not a problem to say this is something that you've been asked. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But just not as an answer to 20 questions, perhaps, because then where's the information we're sharing?
Yeah.
Although, again, maybe I would prefer that to somebody who is making things up just to say something for 20 questions. I don't know.
Okay.
Depends.
I don't know. But I'd say it's also part of a podcast host preparation to know what the guest is expert and what they can answer and where their expertise lies. So if they just get pitched by someone who is, I don't know, mechanic to talk about gourmet food, well, perhaps there needs to be additional pre-interview about it to see if it really fits. And this
For
is
sure.
also something that we didn't mention. One more thing: the to be prepared for the pre-interview, to host to get to know you if you didn't talk before, so you see how it's going along, if you can function normally and dialogue or not.
Yeah, for sure. And in the case of our podcast, Darko has alluded to this already a couple of times. You must be prepared to talk about food. This is a really real possibility that
No,
might occur.
no, no,
Hmm.
no. You don't need to talk about food.
You must be prepared to
You
talk
must be
about food.
prepared to listen about food. That might be a different thing, but you don't need to talk about food.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
I will make you talk about food, but you don't need to be prepared for that.
Fine. Okay, that's true. In the
Yeah,
pre-interview, though, it would be advisable if you want to create a good relationship with Darko to have a nice food story prepared. That's my piece of advice. Because then
yeah.
suddenly he starts smiling, and you get questions that are super positive.
And then it goes all sideways regarding the main topic. Okay, uh, that is enough for today. Thank you all for listening and watching us, and see you next week. And we are waiting for our guests to pitch themselves to us to see what we can talk about on our seen and heard show, live seen and
Yes,
heard show.
absolutely. Thank you very much. Take care.